Unleash your potential, silencing the inner critic and cultivating self-belief. Chapter 1. The Voice Within, Decoding Your Inner Critic. We all have a voice inside our heads. It narrates our experiences, offers opinions, and helps us make sense of the world around us. But what happens when that voice turns against us? What happens when it becomes a relentless critic, whispering doubts, highlighting flaws, and undermining our confidence? This is the voice of your inner critic, and understanding it is the first step towards silencing its influence and unleashing your true potential. Your inner critic isn't some external entity, it's a part of you, a learned pattern of thinking that has developed over time. It's the voice that tells you you're not good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. It's the voice that whispers, you're going to fail, or who are you kidding? You can't do that. While it might feel like a separate entity, it's crucial to understand that this critical voice is a product of your own mind, shaped by your experiences and beliefs. The inner critic can manifest in many different forms. Some common voices include the perfectionist. This critic sets impossibly high standards and berates you for falling short. Nothing is ever good enough, and the pursuit of perfection becomes a never-ending cycle of self-criticism. The judge. This critic constantly compares you to others, pointing out your perceived shortcomings and making you feel inadequate. It thrives on highlighting your weaknesses and making you feel like you're constantly being evaluated. The saboteur. This critic undermines your efforts and prevents you from achieving your goals. It might manifest as procrastination, self-sabotage, or fear of success. The worrier. This critic constantly anticipates negative outcomes and fills your mind with anxieties and what-ifs. It keeps you trapped in a cycle of fear and prevents you from taking risks. The inner child. This critic often reflects unresolved childhood wounds and insecurities. It might replay old messages of inadequacy or neglect, making you feel small and unworthy. The impact of the inner critic can be far-reaching. It can affect your self-esteem, your relationships, your career, and your overall well-being. It can lead to anxiety, depression, and a general sense of dissatisfaction with life. It can also prevent you from taking risks, pursuing your passions, and achieving your full potential. Identifying your inner critic styles. Understanding the specific ways your inner critic operates is crucial for developing effective strategies to manage it. The following self-assessment exercise will help you identify your dominant inner critic styles. Exercise: Decoding your inner critic. Reflect on recent situations. Think about times when you felt self-doubt, insecurity, or self-criticism. What were the situations? What were you thinking? How did you feel? Identify the voice. Imagine the voice of your inner critic speaking to you in those situations. What kind of tone does it have? Is it harsh, gentle, or somewhere in between? Recognize the patterns. Do you notice any recurring themes or messages in your inner critic's voice? Does it focus on your appearance, your intelligence, your performance, or something else? Match the style. Based on the descriptions above, which of the inner critic styles resonates most strongly with you? You might identify with one dominant style or a combination of several. Journal your findings. Write down your observations in a journal. Describe the situations, the negative thoughts, the emotions you experienced, and the dominant inner critic styles that emerged. This exercise is not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process of self-awareness. The more you pay attention to your inner critic's voice, the better you will understand its patterns and the more equipped you will be to challenge its influence. In the following chapters, we will delve deeper into the origins of the inner critic and explore practical strategies for silencing its negative voice and cultivating genuine self-belief. Chapter 2. The Roots of Self-Doubt, Exploring the Origins. Understanding the origins of your inner critic is like tracing the roots of a tree. Just as the tree's health and growth are influenced by its roots, your self-belief and confidence are deeply connected to the experiences and beliefs that shaped your inner critic. This chapter explores the potential sources of self-doubt, helping you understand how your inner critic developed and why it speaks to you in the way it does. The inner critic isn't something we're born with. It develops over time, often beginning in childhood. Our early experiences, particularly our interactions with caregivers, teachers, and peers, play a significant role in shaping our sense of self and our beliefs about our worth. For example, A child who is consistently criticized or made to feel inadequate may develop a strong inner critic that echoes those early messages. Similarly, a child who experiences conditional love, where love is dependent on performance or achievements, may learn to equate their worth with external validation, leading to a persistent fear of failure and a harsh inner critic. Childhood experiences. Criticism and judgment. Consistent criticism, whether from parents, siblings, or other significant figures, can lead to internalization of negative messages and the development of a harsh inner critic. Conditional love. Experiencing love that is contingent on meeting certain expectations can create a deep-seated need for external validation and a fear of not being good enough. Trauma and neglect. Experiences of trauma or neglect can significantly impact a child's sense of safety and self-worth, leading to the development of a protective but often critical inner voice. Comparison and competition. Being constantly compared to others, whether in school, at home, or in social settings, can fuel feelings of inadequacy and contribute to the development of a competitive and judgmental inner critic. Societal pressures. Beyond childhood experiences, societal pressures also play a significant role in shaping our inner critic. We are bombarded with messages about what it means to be successful, beautiful, and worthy. These messages, often unrealistic and unattainable, can create a sense of pressure and inadequacy, fueling self-doubt and self-criticism. Media and advertising. The constant exposure to idealized images and lifestyles in media and advertising can create unrealistic expectations and contribute to feelings of inadequacy about our own appearance, achievements, and lives. Cultural norms and expectations. Societal norms and expectations about gender roles, social status, and success can create pressure to conform and lead to self-criticism when we feel we don't measure up. Social media. Social media can amplify feelings of comparison and inadequacy, as we are constantly exposed to curated versions of other people's lives. This can fuel self-doubt and contribute to a harsh inner critic. Past failures and setbacks. Our past experiences, including failures and setbacks, can also contribute to the development of self-doubt. While it's important to learn from our mistakes, dwelling on them can reinforce negative beliefs and strengthen the voice of the inner critic. Perceived failures. Even perceived failures, those that we interpret as personal shortcomings, can fuel self-doubt and contribute to a critical inner voice. Negative feedback. Negative feedback, even when constructive, can be internalized and used as ammunition by the inner critic. Unresolved grief and loss. Unresolved grief and loss can also contribute to self-doubt, as we may blame ourselves for what happened or feel unworthy of happiness. The inner critic's narrative. The experiences and pressures described above contribute to the development of the inner critic's narrative, the story it tells you about yourself. This narrative is often based on distorted thinking, limiting beliefs, and negative interpretations of past events. It's important to remember that this narrative is not the truth, it's simply a story your inner critic has constructed. Understanding the roots of your inner critic is not about blaming your past or dwelling on negative experiences. It's about gaining awareness of the factors that have shaped your self-beliefs and recognizing that you have the power to change them. By understanding where your inner critic comes from, you can begin to separate its voice from your own and create a new narrative based on self-compassion, self-acceptance, and self-belief. In the following chapters, we will explore practical strategies for challenging this narrative and silencing the inner critic's voice. Chapter 3. Recognizing the patterns, identifying negative thought cycles. Our inner critic doesn't just make random jabs at our self-esteem, it operates through specific, often predictable patterns of negative thinking. These patterns, like well-worn grooves in a record, reinforce self-doubt and keep us trapped in cycles of negativity. Recognizing these patterns is crucial for breaking free from their grip and regaining control of your thoughts. This chapter will explore some common negative thought patterns and provide exercises to help you identify and track your own. These negative thought patterns, also known as cognitive distortions, are often subtle and automatic. We may not even realize we're engaging in them, yet they significantly impact our mood, our behavior, and our overall sense of self. Learning to recognize these distortions is like shining a light on the inner workings of your inner critic, allowing you to see its tactics and dismantle its power. Here are some common negative thought patterns. Catastrophizing. This involves taking a negative event and blowing it out of proportion, assuming the worst possible outcome. For example, if you make a mistake at work, you might catastrophize by thinking, I'm going to get fired, and my career will be ruined. All or nothing thinking, also known as black and white thinking, this involves seeing things in extremes, with no middle ground. You're either a complete success or a total failure, there's no in between. For example, if I don't get this promotion, I'm a complete loser. Personalization. This is the tendency to take things personally, even when they have nothing to do with you. For example, if a friend cancels plans, you might personalize it by thinking, she must be mad at me. Mental filtering. This involves focusing only on the negative aspects of a situation while ignoring the positive. For example, you might receive positive feedback on a project but only focus on one minor critique. Discounting the positive. This is the opposite of mental filtering. You acknowledge positive experiences but dismiss them as insignificant or luck. For example, I only got that award because I was in the right place at the right time. Jumping to conclusions. This involves making assumptions about a situation without any real evidence. This can take two forms. Mind reading, assuming you know what other people are thinking, especially if it's negative. For example, my boss looked at me funny, he must think I'm incompetent. Fortune telling, predicting a negative outcome without any basis for the prediction. For example, I'm going to mess up this presentation, I always do. Should statements, using should and must statements to create unrealistic expectations for yourself and others. For example, I should be more organized, or I must be perfect. Labeling, assigning negative labels to yourself or others based on a single action or behavior. For example, I made a mistake, I'm such a failure. Emotional reasoning, believing that your negative emotions reflect reality. For example, I feel anxious about this presentation, so it must be dangerous. Exercise, identifying your negative thoughts. Become a thought detective. Throughout the day, pay attention to your thoughts, especially when you experience negative emotions. What are you thinking? What is your inner critic saying? Use a thought record. A thought record is a helpful tool for tracking and analyzing your negative thoughts. You can create a simple table with the following columns. Situation. Describe the situation that triggered the negative thought. Negative thought. Write down the exact negative thought that you experienced. Emotion. Identify the emotion you felt, e.g., sadness, anger, anxiety. Negative thought pattern. Identify which of the negative thought patterns described above are present in your thought. Alternative thought. Challenge the negative thought and come up with a more balanced and realistic alternative. We will explore this in more detail in Chapter 5. Review your thought records. At the end of the day or week, review your thought records. What patterns do you notice? Which negative thought patterns are most common for you? By consistently practicing this exercise, you will become more aware of your negative thought patterns and their impact on your life. This awareness is the first step towards breaking free from these cycles of negativity and creating a more positive and empowering inner dialogue. In the next chapter, we will discuss how these negative thought patterns often manifest in specific behaviors. Chapter 4. The disguises of self-criticism, perfectionism, procrastination, and people-pleasing. The inner critic doesn't always announce itself with blatant insults and accusations. Often, it operates more subtly, disguising itself in seemingly harmless or even positive behaviors. Perfectionism, procrastination, and people-pleasing are just a few of the masks the inner critic wears to keep you trapped in cycles of self-doubt. Understanding the link between these behaviors and underlying self-criticism is crucial for breaking free from their hold. These behaviors, while seemingly different, share a common root: fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of not being good enough. The inner critic uses these fears to manipulate us into engaging in behaviors that ultimately reinforce our self-doubt. Perfectionism, the pursuit of an illusion. Perfectionism is often seen as a virtue, a drive for excellence. However, when fueled by the inner critic, it becomes a relentless pursuit of an unattainable ideal. The perfectionist sets impossibly high standards, constantly striving for flawlessness. But because perfection is an illusion, the perfectionist is perpetually disappointed, feeding the inner critic's narrative of inadequacy. The mask. The perfectionist appears driven, detail-oriented, and committed to excellence. The motive. underneath the surface lies a deep fear of failure and a belief that worth is contingent on achieving perfection. The consequence: perfectionism leads to anxiety, stress, procrastination, out of fear of not being perfect, and ultimately, a reinforced sense of inadequacy. Procrastination, the avoidance game. Procrastination, the act of delaying tasks despite knowing they need to be done, is often a symptom of underlying self-doubt. The inner critic whispers that you're not capable, that you'll fail, or that you're not good enough. To avoid these feelings, you procrastinate, temporarily relieving the anxiety but ultimately reinforcing the inner critic's message. The mask: the procrastinator might appear lazy, disorganized, or unmotivated. The motive: beneath the surface lies a fear of failure, a fear of judgment, and a desire to avoid the discomfort of facing potential shortcomings. The consequence: procrastination leads to increased stress, missed deadlines, and a reinforced belief that you're not capable or good enough. People-pleasing, the quest for external validation. People-pleasing involves putting the needs of others before your own, often to the point of neglecting your own well-being. The inner critic fuels this behavior by whispering that your worth depends on the approval of others. You seek external validation to quiet the inner critic's voice, but this is a temporary fix, as the need for approval is never truly satisfied. The mask: the people-pleaser appears kind, generous, and helpful. The motive: underneath lies a fear of rejection, a need for external validation, and a belief that worth is dependent on pleasing others. The consequence: people-pleasing leads to resentment, burnout, and a loss of connection to your own needs and desires. It also reinforces the belief that your worth is dependent on external approval. Breaking free from the disguises. Recognizing these behaviors as manifestations of your inner critic is the first step towards breaking free. It's important to understand that these behaviors are coping mechanisms, attempts to manage the anxiety and self-doubt fueled by the inner critic. While they might provide temporary relief, they ultimately reinforce the negative messages and keep you trapped in cycles of self-criticism. The key to overcoming these disguised forms of self-criticism lies in addressing the underlying fear and self-doubt. This involves challenging the negative thoughts that drive these behaviors, cultivating self-compassion, and learning to accept yourself, imperfections and all. In the following chapters, we will explore practical strategies for challenging the inner critic's narrative and building a foundation of genuine self-belief. By understanding the disguises of self-criticism, you can begin to see through the masks and address the root of the problem, paving the way for a more authentic and fulfilling life. Chapter 5. Challenging the narrative, reframing negative thoughts. Now that you understand the origins of your inner critic and recognize its common thought patterns, it's time to take action. This chapter introduces you to the powerful technique of cognitive restructuring, a method for challenging and reframing negative thoughts. It's about changing the narrative your inner critic tells you, replacing distorted and self-defeating thoughts with more balanced and realistic perspectives. Cognitive restructuring is not about simply thinking positive thoughts. It's about critically examining the evidence for and against your negative thoughts and developing alternative thoughts that are more grounded in reality. It's about becoming a detective of your own mind, questioning the validity of your inner critic's pronouncements. The process involves several key steps. Identify the negative thought. Become aware of the specific negative thought that is causing you distress. What is your inner critic saying? Try to capture the thought as accurately as possible. Refer back to the thought records you started in Chapter 3. Recognize the distortion. Identify the specific negative thought pattern, cognitive distortion present in the thought. Is it catastrophizing, all or nothing thinking, personalization, or another distortion? Understanding the distortion helps you see the flaw in the thinking. Challenge the evidence. Ask yourself, what evidence supports this thought? What evidence contradicts it? Often, you'll find that there's little to no real evidence supporting the negative thought, and plenty of evidence against it. Develop an alternative thought. Based on the evidence you've gathered, create a more balanced and realistic alternative thought. This thought should be believable to you and should take into account all the available information. It doesn't have to be Pollyanna-ish, it simply needs to be more accurate and less biased. Example: negative thought, I messed up that presentation, I'm such an idiot. Distortion, labeling, catastrophizing. Challenge the evidence. What evidence supports this? I stumbled over a few words. What evidence contradicts it? The audience seemed engaged, and several people complimented me afterward. I've given successful presentations before. Everyone makes mistakes. Alternative thought, I stumbled a bit during the presentation, which is normal. Overall, it seemed to go well, and I received positive feedback. I can learn from this experience and improve for next time. Practical exercises. Continue your thought records. Keep using the thought record format from Chapter 3, but now add a column for alternative thought. Practice challenging your negative thoughts and developing more balanced alternatives. Use affirmations carefully. Affirmations can be helpful, but they need to be realistic and believable. Instead of saying, I am perfect, which is unlikely to be true, try something like, I am capable of learning and growing. Base your affirmations on your strengths and positive qualities. Practice thought stopping. When you notice a negative thought entering your mind, try saying, stop. This can help interrupt the thought cycle. Then, redirect your attention to something else, such as a positive activity or a neutral thought. Seek support. Talking to a therapist or counselor can be incredibly helpful in learning to challenge and reframe negative thoughts. They can provide guidance and support as you work through this process. Key considerations. Be patient. Changing deeply ingrained thought patterns takes time and practice. Don't get discouraged if you don't see results immediately. Keep practicing, and you will gradually become more skilled at reframing your thoughts. Be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up for having negative thoughts. Everyone does. The goal is not to eliminate negative thoughts entirely, but to learn to manage them effectively. Focus on progress, not perfection. Celebrate your progress, even small steps. Every time you challenge a negative thought and develop a more balanced alternative, you are making progress towards silencing your inner critic. Reframing negative thoughts is a crucial step in silencing your inner critic and cultivating self-belief. By challenging the narrative your inner critic tells you, you can begin to create a new narrative based on self-compassion, self-acceptance, and your true potential. The next chapter will explore the essential role of self-compassion in this process. Chapter 6. Cultivating Self-Compassion, a gentle approach to self-criticism. While challenging negative thoughts is essential, it's not enough to simply silence the inner critic. You also need to cultivate a kinder, gentler voice, the voice of self-compassion. Self-compassion is not self-indulgence or self-pity. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness, care, and understanding that you would offer a dear friend who is struggling. It's about recognizing your shared humanity and acknowledging that everyone makes mistakes and experiences difficulties. This chapter will explore the power of self-compassion as a potent antidote to self-criticism. Self-compassion involves 3 core components. Self-kindness. Instead of harsh judgment and criticism, self-compassion encourages you to treat yourself with warmth and understanding. It's about recognizing your pain and struggles without adding to them with self-blame or self-criticism. It's about offering yourself words of comfort and support, just as you would to a friend in need. Common humanity. Self-compassion recognizes that everyone struggles. You are not alone in your imperfections, your failures, or your difficulties. This understanding helps to reduce feelings of isolation and shame, reminding you that you are part of a larger human experience. Mindfulness. Mindfulness involves paying attention to your thoughts and feelings in the present moment without judgment. It allows you to observe your suffering without getting carried away by it. Mindfulness helps you to create space between yourself and your inner critic, allowing you to observe its activity without being completely consumed by it. Why self-compassion matters. Self-compassion is not just a nice idea, it's a powerful tool for improving your well-being. Research has shown that self-compassion is associated with numerous benefits, including reduced self-criticism. Self-compassion provides a buffer against the harsh judgments of the inner critic, allowing you to respond to your mistakes and shortcomings with greater kindness and understanding. Increased emotional resilience. Self-compassion helps you to cope with difficult emotions and setbacks more effectively. It allows you to bounce back from adversity with greater ease. Greater self-acceptance. Self-compassion encourages you to accept yourself, imperfections and all. It helps you to let go of the need to be perfect and embrace your authentic self. Improved well-being. Self-compassion is associated with increased happiness, life satisfaction, and overall well-being. Practical exercises for cultivating self-compassion. Treat yourself like a friend. Think about a time when a friend was struggling. How did you respond to them? What words of comfort and support did you offer? Now, imagine that you are that friend. Offer yourself the same kindness and understanding. Self-compassion break. When you are feeling overwhelmed or self-critical, take a short break to practice self-compassion. Place your hand on your heart and say to yourself, "This is a moment of suffering." Then, remind yourself that suffering is a part of life and that you are not alone in your struggles. Finally, offer yourself some words of comfort, such as, "May I be kind to myself in this moment." Common humanity meditation. This meditation helps you to connect with the shared experience of suffering. Reflect on the fact that everyone experiences difficulties and imperfections. This can help to reduce feelings of isolation and shame. Write a self-compassionate letter. Write a letter to yourself from the perspective of a compassionate friend. Offer yourself words of support, understanding, and encouragement. Reflect on your strengths and accomplishments, and remind yourself of your worth. Practice mindful self-compassion. Pay attention to your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Acknowledge your suffering without getting carried away by it. This allows you to observe your inner critic's activity without being completely consumed by it. Key considerations. Self-compassion is not self-pity. Self-compassion is not about wallowing in your suffering. It's about acknowledging your pain and responding to it with kindness and understanding. Self-compassion takes practice. Like any skill, self-compassion takes practice. Be patient with yourself as you learn to cultivate this quality. Self-compassion is not about ignoring your flaws. Self-compassion is about accepting yourself, imperfections and all. It's about recognizing your flaws without harshly judging yourself for them. Cultivating self-compassion is an essential part of silencing your inner critic and building self-belief. By treating yourself with kindness, understanding, and acceptance, you can create a more supportive inner environment that allows you to thrive. The next chapter will explore how to identify and challenge the deeply ingrained limiting beliefs that fuel self-doubt. Chapter 7. Separating fact from fiction, disputing limiting beliefs. Beyond negative thoughts, many of us carry deeply ingrained limiting beliefs that fuel self-doubt and hold us back from reaching our full potential. These beliefs, often formed in childhood or through significant life experiences, become ingrained narratives that shape our perceptions of ourselves and the world around us. They're like invisible chains that restrict our actions and limit what we believe is possible for us. This chapter will guide you through the process of identifying, challenging, and ultimately disputing these limiting beliefs, separating fact from fiction and paving the way for more empowering alternatives. Limiting beliefs are often expressed as "I am" statements or general assumptions about ourselves and our capabilities. They can sound like, "I am not good enough. I am not smart enough. I am not worthy of love. I am not capable of achieving my goals. I am a failure. I don't deserve success." These beliefs, even if they're not consciously at the forefront of your mind, operate in the background, influencing your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. They become self-fulfilling prophecies, reinforcing the very limitations they proclaim. Identifying your limiting beliefs. Uncovering these deeply held beliefs can take some introspection. Here are some strategies to help you identify your own limiting beliefs. Reflect on recurring themes. Think about recurring negative thoughts or patterns in your life. What are the underlying messages that keep repeating themselves? These messages often point to deeper limiting beliefs. Pay attention to emotional triggers. Notice situations that trigger strong negative emotions, such as fear, anxiety, or shame. What beliefs might be underlying these emotional reactions? Examine your self-talk. Pay attention to your inner dialogue, especially when you're facing challenges or considering taking risks. What are the things you tell yourself you can't do or shouldn't try? Consider your childhood experiences. Reflect on messages you received in childhood, either directly or indirectly, from parents, teachers, or peers. Did you internalize any negative beliefs about yourself or your abilities? Complete sentence stems. Try completing sentence stems like, "I believe I am." "I believe I am not." "I believe I can." "I believe I cannot." Challenging and disputing limiting beliefs. Once you've identified some of your limiting beliefs, it's time to challenge their validity. Here's a step-by-step process. State the belief. Clearly state the limiting belief you want to challenge. Gather evidence for and against. Create 2 columns. In one column, list all the evidence you can think of that supports the belief. In the other column, list all the evidence that contradicts it. Be honest and thorough in your assessment. You might be surprised by how much evidence contradicts the limiting belief. Examine the origins of the belief. Where did this belief come from? Was it based on a single event or repeated experiences? Was it something someone told you, or did you conclude it yourself? Understanding the origins of the belief can help you to see that it may not be based on objective reality. Develop a more empowering alternative. Based on the evidence you've gathered, create a more balanced and empowering alternative belief. This new belief should be realistic and believable to you. It should also be more supportive of your goals and aspirations. Example: limiting belief, I am not creative. Evidence for, I've never considered myself artistic. I struggled with art projects in school. Evidence against, I enjoy brainstorming and coming up with new ideas. I've successfully solved problems creatively in my work. I enjoy expressing myself through writing. Creativity takes many forms. Origins: perhaps a teacher criticized my artwork in elementary school. Empowering alternative: I have creative potential that I can develop. I express my creativity in different ways, and I am open to exploring new avenues for creative expression. Key considerations: be patient and persistent. Challenging deeply ingrained beliefs takes time and effort. Don't get discouraged if you don't see results immediately. Keep practicing, and you will gradually weaken the grip of these limiting beliefs. Focus on the present. While it can be helpful to understand the origins of your beliefs, don't dwell on the past. Focus on challenging the beliefs in the present moment and creating new, more empowering narratives for the future. Take action. Beliefs are strengthened through action. Once you've developed more empowering alternatives, take small steps to act in accordance with these new beliefs. This will help to solidify them and create new, positive experiences. Disputing limiting beliefs is a powerful step towards silencing your inner critic and unlocking your true potential. By separating fact from fiction and replacing limiting narratives with empowering alternatives, you can create a more supportive inner dialogue and pave the way for a more fulfilling and authentic life. The next chapter will discuss strategies for setting boundaries with your inner critic and limiting its influence. Chapter 8. Setting boundaries with your inner critic, limiting its influence. Even with consistent effort in reframing thoughts and challenging beliefs, your inner critic might still try to regain control. It's a persistent voice, and learning to manage it is an ongoing process. This chapter focuses on strategies for setting boundaries with your inner critic, limiting its influence, and preventing it from hijacking your thoughts and actions. It's about creating a healthy distance between you and that critical voice, so you can choose how to respond rather than being dictated by it. Think of your inner critic as a noisy, unwelcome guest. You wouldn't let that guest run the show in your house, would you? Similarly, you don't have to let your inner critic dictate your thoughts and feelings. You have the power to set boundaries and limit its influence. Here are some effective strategies for setting boundaries with your inner critic. Name it. Giving your inner critic a name can help create some distance. It can be something silly or descriptive, whatever resonates with you. By naming it, you acknowledge its presence without giving it undue power. It's no longer just a vague, overwhelming feeling, it's something you can identify and manage. Interrupt the pattern. When you notice your inner critic starting its familiar tirade, interrupt the pattern. You can do this in several ways. Say stop. This simple command can be surprisingly effective in interrupting the flow of negative thoughts. Change your physical state. Get up and move around, stretch, or do something completely different. A change in physical state can disrupt the mental pattern. Engage your senses. Focus on something in your environment, the colors, sounds, smells around you. This can help ground you in the present moment and distract you from the inner critic's voice. Redirect your attention. Once you've interrupted the negative thought pattern, redirect your attention to something positive or neutral. This could be a hobby, a task you enjoy, or simply focusing on your breath. Don't give the inner critic any more of your energy. Visualize a boundary. Imagine a physical boundary between you and your inner critic. This could be a wall, a fence, or any image that represents a clear separation. Visualize yourself pushing the inner critic back behind that boundary. Reframe the message. Even when you set boundaries, the inner critic might try to sneak its messages in. When this happens, reframe the message. For example, if your inner critic says, "You're going to fail," reframe it as, "I'm willing to try, and I'll learn from any experience." Don't engage. One of the biggest mistakes we make is engaging in arguments with our inner critic. The more you argue, the more power you give it. Instead, acknowledge its presence without engaging. You can say something like, "I hear you, but I'm not going to engage with that right now." Practice self-care. When you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, you're more vulnerable to the inner critic's attacks. Prioritize self-care activities that nourish your mind and body, such as getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, and engaging in activities you enjoy. Remember your strengths. When the inner critic tries to undermine your confidence, remind yourself of your strengths, accomplishments, and positive qualities. Keep a success journal, or a list of your positive attributes to refer to when you need a boost. Key considerations. Consistency is key. Setting boundaries with your inner critic is an ongoing process. The more consistently you practice these techniques, the more effective they will become. Be patient with yourself. Don't expect to silence your inner critic completely overnight. It's a persistent voice, and it will likely pop up from time to time. The goal is not to eliminate it entirely, but to manage its influence so it doesn't control your life. Don't give up. There will be times when your inner critic seems louder and more persistent than ever. Don't give up. Keep practicing these techniques, and you will gradually gain more control over your inner dialogue. Setting boundaries with your inner critic is a crucial step in silencing its influence and cultivating self-belief. By consistently implementing these strategies, you can create a more supportive inner environment that allows you to thrive and reach your full potential. The next part of this book will focus on building unshakable self-belief, starting with recognizing your strengths and celebrating your achievements. Chapter 9. Recognizing your strengths, celebrating your achievements. Silencing the inner critic is only half the battle. The other half is actively building unshakable self-belief. And a crucial component of that is recognizing your strengths and celebrating your achievements. Often, we're so focused on our shortcomings and areas for improvement that we overlook the incredible qualities and accomplishments we already possess. This chapter will guide you in identifying your strengths, acknowledging your achievements, and using this knowledge to build a stronger sense of self-worth. It's easy to fall into the trap of discounting our strengths or attributing our successes to luck or external factors. But recognizing and celebrating your achievements, both big and small, is essential for building a solid foundation of self-belief. It's about acknowledging your value and appreciating all that you bring to the table. Identifying your strengths. Your strengths are not just about your talents or skills. They also encompass your character traits, your values, and your unique way of being in the world. Here are some strategies for identifying your strengths. Reflect on past successes. Think about times when you felt successful, accomplished, or proud of yourself. What were the situations? What skills or qualities did you use to achieve those outcomes? Ask for feedback. Ask trusted friends, family members, or colleagues for feedback on your strengths. What do they admire about you? What qualities do they see in you that you might not recognize in yourself? Consider your values. What is important to you? What do you stand for? Your values often point to your strengths. For example, if you value kindness, you are likely a compassionate and empathetic person. Explore your interests. What are you passionate about? What activities do you enjoy? Your interests often align with your strengths. Use strengths assessments. There are various strengths assessments available online that can help you identify your natural talents and abilities. These can be a helpful tool for gaining greater self-awareness. Celebrating your achievements. Recognizing your strengths is important, but it's equally important to celebrate your achievements. This doesn't mean throwing a party every time you accomplish something small. It's about acknowledging your progress, appreciating your efforts, and giving yourself credit for your successes. Here are some ways to celebrate your achievements. Keep a success journal. This is a powerful tool for tracking your accomplishments, both big and small. Every day, write down at least one thing you did well, no matter how small it might seem. Review your success journal regularly to remind yourself of all that you've accomplished. Acknowledge your progress. Don't just focus on the end result. Acknowledge and celebrate the steps you took along the way. Recognize the effort you put in, the challenges you overcame, and the progress you made. Share your successes. Don't be afraid to share your accomplishments with others. This isn't about bragging, it's about acknowledging your value and celebrating your successes. Reward yourself. Find ways to reward yourself for your achievements. This doesn't have to be anything extravagant. It could be something as simple as taking a relaxing bath, reading a good book, or treating yourself to a special meal. Visualize your successes. Take time to visualize your past successes. Imagine yourself achieving your goals and feel the positive emotions associated with those accomplishments. Connecting strengths and achievements. The key to building unshakable self-belief is to connect your strengths with your achievements. When you recognize how your strengths have contributed to your successes, you reinforce your belief in your capabilities. For example, instead of just saying, "I gave a great presentation," you could say, "My strong communication skills and my ability to connect with an audience helped me deliver a successful presentation." This connection reinforces your belief in your communication skills and your ability to give effective presentations. Key considerations. Be specific. When acknowledging your achievements, be specific about what you did well. Instead of saying, "I did a good job," say, "I did a good job of managing my time and prioritizing tasks, which allowed me to complete the project on schedule." Focus on effort. Even if you don't achieve the exact outcome you were hoping for, acknowledge your effort and the progress you made. Learning and growth are also achievements worth celebrating. Don't compare yourself to others. Your journey is unique. Don't compare your achievements to those of others. Focus on your own progress and celebrate your own successes. Recognizing your strengths and celebrating your achievements is an essential part of building unshakable self-belief. By acknowledging your value and appreciating all that you've accomplished, you create a more positive and empowering inner dialogue that allows you to thrive. The next chapter will explore the importance of embracing imperfection and letting go of the need to be perfect. Chapter 10. Embracing imperfection, letting go of the need to be perfect. The pursuit of perfection is a trap. It's a never-ending chase after an unattainable ideal, fueled by the inner critic's relentless demands. Ironically, the harder we strive for perfection, the more we often feel inadequate. True self-belief isn't about being perfect, it's about embracing imperfection, accepting yourself with all your flaws and vulnerabilities. This chapter explores the concept of imperfection and provides strategies for letting go of the need to be perfect, fostering self-acceptance, and cultivating a more compassionate relationship with yourself. Perfectionism is often rooted in fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. The inner critic whispers that if you're not perfect, you're not worthy. But the truth is, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has flaws. Imperfection is not a weakness, it's a part of being human. Embracing imperfection is not about giving up on growth or striving for excellence. It's about letting go of unrealistic expectations and accepting yourself as you are, while still striving to learn and improve. The illusion of perfection. The idea of perfection is an illusion. No one is perfect, and no one ever will be. The pursuit of perfection is a recipe for disappointment and self-criticism. It sets you up for failure because the goal is unattainable. When you let go of the need to be perfect, you free yourself from this endless cycle of striving and disappointment. The benefits of embracing imperfection. Embracing imperfection can have a profound impact on your well-being. It can lead to reduced stress and anxiety. Letting go of the need to be perfect reduces the pressure and anxiety associated with constantly trying to meet unrealistic expectations. Increased self-acceptance. When you accept your imperfections, you develop a greater sense of self-acceptance and self-compassion. Greater resilience. Embracing imperfection allows you to bounce back from setbacks more easily. You're less likely to be derailed by mistakes or failures because you recognize them as a normal part of the learning process. More authentic living. When you're not trying to be perfect, you can be more authentic and true to yourself. You can let go of the masks you wear and embrace your true self, flaws and all. Increased creativity. The fear of failure can stifle creativity. When you let go of the need to be perfect, you're more likely to take risks and explore new ideas, leading to greater creativity and innovation. Strategies for embracing imperfection. Challenge perfectionistic thoughts. When you notice yourself striving for perfection or criticizing yourself for not being perfect, challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this expectation realistic? What evidence supports this thought? What evidence contradicts it? Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend who is struggling. Acknowledge your imperfections without judgment and offer yourself words of comfort and support. Focus on progress, not perfection. Instead of focusing on achieving perfection, focus on making progress. Celebrate small steps forward and acknowledge your efforts, even if the outcome isn't perfect. Reframe mistakes as learning opportunities. Everyone makes mistakes. Instead of beating yourself up about them, reframe them as learning opportunities. What can you learn from this experience? How can you grow from it? Let go of comparisons. Comparing yourself to others is a recipe for self-doubt. Remember that everyone is on their own journey. Focus on your own progress and celebrate your own achievements. Practice self-acceptance. Accept yourself as you are, imperfections and all. Recognize that your worth is not contingent on being perfect. You are worthy of love and acceptance just as you are. Embrace vulnerability. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, but it's actually a strength. It takes courage to be authentic and to show your true self to the world, flaws and all. Embrace your vulnerability and allow yourself to be seen. Key considerations. Be patient with yourself. Letting go of perfectionism is a process. It takes time and effort to change deeply ingrained patterns of thinking and behaving. Be patient with yourself and celebrate small victories along the way. Don't aim for perfect self-acceptance. The irony is that trying to be perfect at self-acceptance is just another form of perfectionism. Be kind to yourself as you work towards greater self-acceptance. Remember your worth. Your worth is not dependent on your achievements or your imperfections. You are inherently worthy of love, belonging and happiness, just as you are. Embracing imperfection is a key step in silencing your inner critic and building unshakable self-belief. When you let go of the need to be perfect, you open yourself up to greater self-acceptance, self-compassion, and a more authentic and fulfilling life. The next chapter will explore the importance of taking action and stepping outside your comfort zone to further build self-confidence. Chapter 11. Taking action, stepping outside your comfort zone. Building self-belief is not just about changing your thoughts and feelings, it's also about taking action. While inner work is crucial, it's through action that we truly test our beliefs, build confidence, and discover what we're capable of. This chapter explores the importance of stepping outside your comfort zone, taking calculated risks, and using action as a powerful tool for building unshakable self-confidence. Your comfort zone is that familiar space where you feel safe and in control. It's where you know what to expect and where you're less likely to experience discomfort or failure. While it's important to have a comfort zone, staying within it can limit your growth and prevent you from realizing your full potential. Stepping outside your comfort zone is where the magic happens. It's where you challenge yourself, learn new skills, and discover hidden strengths. The power of action. Action is a powerful antidote to self-doubt. When you take action, you move from thinking about something to actually doing it. This process builds self-efficacy, the belief in your ability to succeed. Each time you step outside your comfort zone and achieve something, you reinforce your belief in yourself and your capabilities. Why stepping outside your comfort zone matters. Stepping outside your comfort zone can lead to increased self-confidence. Each time you face a challenge and overcome it, your self-confidence grows. You prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought. Personal growth. Stepping outside your comfort zone exposes you to new experiences, new skills, and new perspectives. This leads to personal growth and expands your horizons. Resilience. When you take risks and face challenges, you develop greater resilience. You learn to bounce back from setbacks and persevere in the face of adversity. Expanded possibilities. Staying within your comfort zone limits your possibilities. Stepping outside of it opens up a world of new opportunities and experiences. greater fulfillment. Living a life of growth and challenge can be incredibly fulfilling. It allows you to discover your passions, pursue your dreams, and live a more meaningful life. Strategies for stepping outside your comfort zone. Start small. You don't have to make huge leaps outside your comfort zone all at once. Start with small, manageable steps. This could be something as simple as striking up a conversation with a stranger, trying a new food, or taking a different route to work. Identify your fears. What are you afraid of? What's holding you back from stepping outside your comfort zone? Identifying your fears is the first step to overcoming them. Create a stretch zone. Think of your comfort zone as a circle. Just outside that circle is your stretch zone. This is where you can take calculated risks and challenge yourself without feeling completely overwhelmed. Set achievable goals. Set small, achievable goals that will push you slightly outside your comfort zone. As you accomplish these goals, you'll build momentum and gain the confidence to tackle bigger challenges. Celebrate your progress. Acknowledge and celebrate every step you take outside your comfort zone, no matter how small it might seem. This reinforces positive behavior and motivates you to keep pushing yourself. Find a support system. Having a supportive network of friends, family members, or mentors can make it easier to step outside your comfort zone. They can offer encouragement, support, and accountability. Embrace failure as a learning opportunity. Not every risk you take will pay off. You will likely experience setbacks and failures along the way. Instead of viewing these as negative experiences, reframe them as learning opportunities. What can you learn from this experience? How can you improve next time? Key considerations. Calculated risks. Stepping outside your comfort zone doesn't mean being reckless. Take calculated risks that are aligned with your goals and values. Listen to your intuition. While it's important to push yourself, it's also important to listen to your intuition. If something feels truly uncomfortable or unsafe, it's okay to say no. Be kind to yourself. Stepping outside your comfort zone can be challenging. Be kind to yourself and celebrate your progress, no matter how small it might seem. Taking action and stepping outside your comfort zone is an essential part of building unshakable self-belief. It's through action that you discover what you're truly capable of and create a life of greater confidence, resilience, and fulfillment. The next chapter will discuss strategies for maintaining your momentum and creating a sustainable practice for continued growth and self-discovery. Chapter 12. Maintaining your momentum, creating a sustainable practice. You've made significant progress in silencing your inner critic and cultivating self-belief. But personal growth is not a destination, it's a journey. Maintaining your momentum and creating a sustainable practice is crucial for long-term transformation. This chapter offers strategies for integrating the techniques you've learned into your daily life, ensuring that your journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance continues. Think of building self-belief like building a muscle. You wouldn't expect to go to the gym once and have permanent results, would you? Similarly, cultivating self-belief requires consistent effort and practice. It's about making these practices a part of your routine, not just something you do occasionally. Strategies for maintaining momentum. Make it a habit. Integrate the techniques you've learned into your daily routine. Schedule time for self-reflection, journaling, or practicing self-compassion. The more you practice these techniques, the more automatic they will become. Regularly review your progress. Take time to reflect on your progress. Review your success journal, your thought records, and your goals. Acknowledge how far you've come and celebrate your achievements. This will help you stay motivated and reinforce positive change. Set realistic expectations. Don't expect to be perfect all the time. There will be days when your inner critic is louder than usual, or when you slip back into old patterns. This is normal. The key is to acknowledge these setbacks without judgment and gently redirect yourself back to your practice. Find an accountability partner. Having someone to share your journey with can be incredibly helpful. Find a friend, family member, or therapist who can offer support, encouragement, and accountability. Join a support group. Connecting with others who are on a similar journey can be incredibly validating and empowering. Support groups offer a safe space to share your experiences, learn from others, and receive encouragement. Continue learning. Personal growth is a lifelong journey. Continue learning about self-compassion, mindfulness, and other related topics. Read books, listen to podcasts, or attend workshops to deepen your understanding and expand your toolkit. Prioritize self-care. Self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity. When you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, you're more vulnerable to the inner critic's attacks. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, engaging in activities you enjoy, and taking time to relax and recharge. Be flexible and adaptable. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns. Be flexible and adaptable in your approach to self-belief. What works for you at one point in your life might not work as well at another. Be willing to adjust your practice as needed. Embrace the journey. Remember that personal growth is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, challenges and triumphs. Embrace the journey with all its twists and turns, knowing that each experience is an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. Creating a personalized plan. The best way to maintain momentum is to create a personalized plan that works for you. This plan should include specific strategies and practices that you will incorporate into your daily life. Here's a template you can use. My goals. What do I want to achieve in my journey of self-discovery and self-belief? My strengths. What are my strengths that I can draw upon in this journey? My challenges. What are the challenges I anticipate facing? My practices. What specific practices will I incorporate into my daily routine, e.g., journaling, meditation, self-compassion breaks? My support system. Who are the people I can turn to for support and accountability? My resources. What resources will I utilize, e.g., books, podcasts, support groups? My timeline. When will I review and adjust my plan? Key considerations. Consistency over intensity. It's better to practice these techniques consistently for short periods than to do them intensely for a short time and then burn out. Listen to your body. Pay attention to your physical and emotional needs. If you're feeling overwhelmed, take a break and prioritize self-care. Celebrate small victories. Acknowledge and celebrate every step you take on your journey. This will help you stay motivated and reinforce positive change. Maintaining your momentum is an ongoing process. By creating a sustainable practice, you can continue to silence your inner critic, cultivate self-belief, and live a more authentic and fulfilling life. Remember, the journey of self-discovery is a marathon, not a sprint. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and embrace the journey with all its ups and downs. Conclusion. Embracing your authentic self. You've reached the end of this journey, and hopefully, you're equipped with a deeper understanding of your inner critic, its origins, and its tactics. You've learned practical strategies for challenging negative thoughts, cultivating self-compassion, disputing limiting beliefs, and setting boundaries with that critical voice within. You've explored the importance of recognizing your strengths, celebrating your achievements, embracing imperfection, and taking action to build unshakable self-belief. But this is not the end, it's a beginning. Silencing the inner critic and cultivating self-belief is not a one-time fix, it's an ongoing process. It's a journey of self-discovery, self-acceptance, and self-compassion. There will be times when your inner critic tries to regain control, times when you slip back into old patterns, and times when you feel discouraged. This is normal. The key is to remember the tools and techniques you've learned and to keep practicing them, even when it feels challenging. Remember that you are not your inner critic. That voice is a learned pattern of thinking, shaped by your experiences and beliefs. You have the power to choose which voice you listen to. You can choose to listen to the voice of self-compassion, the voice of encouragement, the voice of your authentic self. This journey is about more than just silencing a negative voice. It's about uncovering your true potential, embracing your authentic self, and living a life of greater confidence, joy, and fulfillment. It's about recognizing your worth, celebrating your strengths, and pursuing your dreams with courage and conviction. As you move forward, remember these key takeaways. Self-awareness is key. Continue to pay attention to your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. The more aware you are of your inner critic's patterns, the better equipped you will be to manage its influence. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness, care, and understanding that you would offer a dear friend. Remember that everyone makes mistakes and experiences difficulties. Challenge your beliefs. Don't accept your limiting beliefs at face value. Question them, challenge them, and replace them with more empowering alternatives. Take action. Don't just think about change, take action. Step outside your comfort zone, take calculated risks, and celebrate your progress. Be patient and persistent. Building self-belief is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself, celebrate small victories, and keep practicing the techniques you've learned. The journey of self-discovery is a lifelong adventure. Embrace it with curiosity, courage, and self-compassion. You have the power to create the life you desire, to silence the inner critic, and to unleash your true potential. Believe in yourself, trust your instincts, and never stop growing. The world needs your unique gifts and talents. Go out there and shine. Appendix A. List of common negative thought patterns, cognitive distortions. This list provides a quick reference to common negative thought patterns, also known as cognitive distortions. Recognizing these patterns in your own thinking is the first step to challenging and reframing them. All or nothing thinking, black and white thinking, seeing things in extremes, with no middle ground. Everything is either perfect or a complete failure. Catastrophizing, exaggerating the importance of negative events and assuming the worst possible outcome. Discounting the positive, ignoring or minimizing positive experiences and accomplishments. Emotional reasoning, believing that your negative emotions reflect reality. I feel anxious, therefore, the situation must be dangerous. Fortune telling, predicting negative outcomes without any real evidence. Labeling, assigning negative labels to yourself or others based on a single action or behavior. Mental filtering, focusing only on the negative aspects of a situation while ignoring the positive. Mind reading, assuming you know what other people are thinking, especially if it's negative. Personalization, taking things personally, even when they have nothing to do with you. Should statements, using should and must statements to create unrealistic expectations for yourself and others. Appendix B. Self-compassion exercises. These exercises can help you cultivate self-compassion and treat yourself with greater kindness and understanding. Self-compassion break. When you're feeling overwhelmed or self-critical, take a short break. Place your hand on your heart and say to yourself, "This is a moment of suffering. Suffering is a part of life. May I be kind to myself in this moment." Common humanity meditation. Reflect on the fact that everyone experiences difficulties and imperfections. This can help reduce feelings of isolation and shame. Loving kindness meditation. Direct phrases of loving kindness toward yourself, such as, "May I be safe and protected. May I be healthy and well. May I be peaceful and happy." Write a self-compassionate letter. Write a letter to yourself from the perspective of a compassionate friend, offering words of support, understanding, and encouragement. Appendix C. Resources for further support. This list provides resources for further support in silencing your inner critic and cultivating self-belief. Books. Self-Compassion by Kristin Neff. The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. Feeling Good by David D. Burns. Mind Over Mood by Christine A. Podesky and Dennis Greenberger. Websites. selfcompassion.org, Kristin Neff.
Brené Browns Website.
Organizations. The Center for Mindful Self-Compassion. Therapists and counselors. A qualified therapist or counselor can provide personalized support and guidance in your journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance. Consider seeking professional help if you are struggling with self-doubt or self-criticism. You can find therapists in your area through online directories or by asking for referrals from your doctor or friends. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. There are many resources available to support you in silencing your inner critic and cultivating unshakable self-belief. Don't hesitate to reach out for help when you need it.